Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my wife and I's financial goals that we are setting for 2026. I'm going to be going through what they are, why we chose them, and how we are planning to achieve these goals. Because it's creeping up to the end of the year, my wife and I, we always love to set some goals for the new year coming. We tend to live by the phrase, shoot for the moon and you might land somewhere in the stars. And that's what we are doing with these new year financial goals. I love doing these types of videos because it keeps me accountable, but it also gives you guys some ideas for your own budgeting, investing, and saving goals for the new year that maybe you can set yourself. We are going into 2026 with a pretty clear vision, especially now that we've built some momentum with our budgeting and our investing and also our home. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through our 4 major goals for 2026. One goal is to build up our emergency fund. Another goal is to continue growing our stock portfolio. A third goal of ours is that we want to save for 2 overseas trips, and we are planning to do both of those trips next year because we want to save, we want to invest, but we also want to have a little bit of fun. And finally, the 4th goal, and the goal that I'll be breaking down first, is in 2026, we want to secure our second property. So as always, grab a drink, stay hydrated, and let's get into it. The first one, let's start with the big one, our second property. The idea for this has been in the back of our minds for a very long time, but 2026 is the year we really want to make it happen. Right now, we've built a decent amount of equity in our current home, and we have run the numbers enough times to know that we're getting really close to a solid and comfortable position to do this. However, we are in kind of 2 minds when it comes to what we want from this property. The first thing that we could be looking towards is just a smart investment in a good location so we can see some growth, and ideally we can find something that is positively geared or at the very least neutrally geared. And the second train of thought around this is that we built this house and we had a lot of success with it and we were quite happy with the process. So a possibility for us would also be to build something a little bit bigger than this place. And the idea would be for us to move into that place and then turn this place into our investment / rental property. Now, our decision around this is going to be highly dependent on what our borrowing capacity looks like. And we won't know that until we've gone to see our broker. But before we do that, as I've said in previous videos, we want to pay off Sophie's HEX debt first. Sophie's HEX debt is very small and manageable now, and the plan is to get rid of it before it indexes. The next time it indexes will be in July 2026, so we have until then. So the idea would be to pay it off before that happens and then go see our broker to see what our borrowing capacity looks like when we don't have Sophie's HEX debt weighing us down. Of course, we will still have mine, but mine sadly is a little bit juicier than hers is. So we really wouldn't be able to get rid of it before we see our broker. So for that one, we're just gonna have to take it on the chin and see what our borrowing capacity looks like. Now we're really trying to approach this as strategically as we can. It's not just about buying anything. It's about finding a property that moves us closer to our long-term plan of having multiple income producing assets. We know that this property we're in now can easily be flipped into something that will provide us with some income. So that definitely gives us options in how we want to go about it. The biggest thing right now is obviously waiting to see what that borrowing capacity looks like, but also it's the timing and the serviceability. Interest rates, lending policies, our income, all of this affects how realistic this is. So we've been doing little things for a long time and we will continue to do now that will hopefully help us achieve this goal. Those things include, we're going to continue boosting our offset, which is a goal that I'll talk about later on. We're ensuring our expenses stay under control, which has been a little bit hard in these last weeks of November leading into December with Christmas coming up, but we're locking in the new year, don't worry. And the biggest thing that we're being mindful of is just doing everything we can to maximize that borrowing capacity so it stays strong enough to get approved. This is easily the biggest challenge in 2026, but it's also the one with probably the biggest long-term payoff. So I'm very excited to see where it leads. Goal 2, let's talk about saving for our trips in 2026. So I've got our itineraries up here. We've got 2 trips in the works at the moment. We have a mid-year trip that we do have leave booked for, and we want to do probably New Zealand. We want to hit it mid-year for the ski season. I've done a bit of snowboarding in New Zealand already, but Sophie has not. So I'm sure it's something that she wants to check off her list. And the really big overseas trip that we're going to be saving for is a trip around the USA at the end of the year. The goal for this one is that we'd love to experience Christmas in New York. We've both been to America previously, but at separate times, and we both only managed to make it to the West Coast. So we'd love to work our way up the East Coast and then hopefully do some of Canada as well. The biggest reason that I'm including this this into our financial goals is that we just don't want to be those people who travel first and figure out all the money later. We want these trips to be fully funded before we pack a bag. So the goal is to plan out the expected costs. At the moment, we're looking to do 1.5 to 2 weeks in New Zealand in the middle of the year. And for that one, we're budgeting around $7,000. And then we're looking to do 4 weeks in America, hopefully doing Christmas in New York. And this one's a little bit more hefty. I'm budgeting about 25 to 30 grand for the two of us to do that one. Luckily, we have been saving for these trips already, so some of the saving is already done, thankfully. We have a decent amount allocated to our travel fund already, and we keep that all in our offset. And we've also been building up frequent flyer points with our credit cards for a while, which should help us out when it comes to booking all those flights. Travel is one of those things that we do value quite a bit. It's something we want to do when we're young and we're still healthy and able-bodied. So instead of cutting it out in the name of saving money, we just build it into our financial plan. That way we can still enjoy ourselves without the guilt, and we're not stressing about our credit card debt or playing catch up afterwards. Goal number 3, as I mentioned before, is going to be growing our stock portfolio. And we're going to put a number on this. I'm going to be aiming for 25 grand by the end of the year. We've been slowly dollar cost averaging over the past year or so, and now we really want to take it up a notch. 25K is a number that feels challenging, but is also quite realistic as long as we stay consistent and we stick to the plan. Our approach is very simple. It's just invest regularly, keep focused on ETFs, don't try and time the market, and just let compounding do the heavy lifting over time. As of the time I am recording this, I currently have $11,472.18, and that is all the money I have in all of the ETFs that I own. So doing a quick calculation now, the goal is to add this much money, which is probably gonna be around 13.5 grand. And I'm hoping that the money I've got in there is gonna have a decent amount of growth. So I won't have to contribute all of that money myself. We're not trying to day trade. We're not trying to chase the hype. We just want to build up a strong, reliable, boring foundation. And we're going to continue to follow my ETF strategy that I have talked about in a previous video and just let our money work for us over time. And I think 25 grand is a nice milestone because it's the point where you really start to notice investments moving on their own. You start to see the little daily swings and the dividends start to build up, and it all becomes a little bit more meaningful. This is probably the easiest goal compared to all the others because it's just about being disciplined and sticking to the plan. And as long as I continue to contribute month to month, I feel pretty confident in achieving this goal by the end of 2026. And the last goal for us is we want to buffer up our emergency fund, which we keep in our offset, to around 60 grand. And if you've watched my previous net worth update videos, you'll know that I have over 50 grand in there already. So you're probably thinking that's pretty weak. Why are you only planning to save that much money over the course of 12 months? This number is only gonna count after we've paid for all of our overseas trips. As I said before, the overseas trips that we have planned come to over 35 grand. And I realize that we keep our travel fund in our offset as well. So we could easily check this off in the first couple of months of the year, but I'm only going to count this goal as complete after we've paid all of our money towards our overseas trips. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. For us, the offset does two things. It both protects us against any emergencies, and it also lowers the amount of interest that we pay on our home loan. So in a way, every dollar in there is kind of doing two jobs. 60K is a number that feels very secure for us. It gives us a buffer if something unexpected happens, especially with shift work, pet emergencies, home repairs, you name it. For example, just yesterday, our dishwasher broke, so we've had to get a new one delivered. It's sitting in my garage and I haven't installed it yet. But unexpected things pop up, and it gives us heaps of peace of mind to have that money sitting there just in case we need it. And additionally, it also helps us inch closer and closer to paying off the house faster just through lowering that interest payment every single month. In a perfect world, we'd love to hit this earlier in the year, but realistically, it's going to take steady saving over the whole 12 months because of those overseas trips we have planned. But still, it's one of those goals where you feel the progress immediately because it lowers that mortgage interest every single day. So those are our 4 financial goals for 2026. They're big goals, they're ambitious, and honestly, they're probably going to stretch us a decent amount, but that is kind of the point. To be honest with you guys, towards the end of next year, Sophie and I plan to start trying to have a family. So if you were wondering why we have these overseas trips planned and why we're being so ambitious with our goals, it's because we want to have these things done and to have things as set up as they could be before little ones start coming along. And I know the phrase is you're never ready to have kids, but that's not going to stop us from doing everything we can to be as ready as we possibly could be, while also getting some travel out of the way so we can get it out of our system and just focus on the kids. So again, these goals are going to stretch us, but that's kind of the point. They all work together. Saving that money boosts our offset. The more money we have in our offset helps us get that second property. The investments in the background help us build that long-term wealth, and the travel keeps everything fun and exciting along the way. Let me know down in the the comments what your financial goals are for 2026. And if you want more videos like this one, or you want to follow along the journey as we tackle these goals one by one, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every Friday when I upload a video. And as always, I wish you the very, very best on your financial journey.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that video, you should click here. No, because YouTube thinks you'll like this video. You should click it. No, but seriously. Come on, why haven't you clicked it yet?